Welcome to Dakota Preparedness. In this video, I'm going to do several gear reviews with the end product hopefully being that I prepare my lunch. The first product I'd like to talk about is the K-Bar Hobo Knife. And it comes in a nice nylon case. And when you first look at it, you think it's contiguous. It's got a knife blade, it's got a spoon, and it's got a fork. There's a little traditional notch here you depress to bring the knife back. However, once you get to looking at it closer, you realize it is not contiguous necessarily. If you press on it, it comes in three different parts. So you actually want to keep the three parts together for eventual reunion. But here's the pocket knife, and that is a first-class blade. So let's look at the next product. It's a MRE Star Menu 6 vegetable chili with beans. Okay, well, first of all, let's cut it at the top. And you saw how quickly and smoothly it cut with this knife. And you do want to keep the bag intact, and you want to cut it at the top because there's a number of possible uses that you could use the bag for. One, carrying water or just carrying things with. So we have a packet, 2 bean vegetable vegetarian chili. We've got a flameless ration heater. The ubiquitous crackers. We've got sugar cookies. We've got some nut and raisin mix. We have a grape powder stick beverage. And then we have our utility bag, and this you can see has a little plastic spoon, some sugar and salt, and a napkin. We'll set that up there. And so basically the only thing we need to cook is the vegetable chili. So we don't need the box. We would normally strip this before we left on our hike, but we got the chili packet, and I'll address this in a second. So we'll set that up there. Then we need something to cook over. So we're going to utilize a Primus Stove. Comes in a little nylon carrying case. It's 2 pieces. Attach the 2 pieces together. Here's our Isopro canister. Always make sure you know where the lid is for when you break camp and leave. And it just screws on there. Now the gas is not on yet. We're going to have to, before we light this, so I need to show you the cup that I'm going to heat the water in. Just a couple days ago I got this. It's called a Patherfinder stainless steel canteen cooking set. And it's sponsored by Dave Canterbury. And it's a 39-ounce wide mouth canteen. 304 food grade stainless steel, 25-ounce cup, etched graduations. It has a stove at 5 1/4 long and 3.5 inches wide. An ABS plastic cap, a lightweight canteen bag. So it was all very, very nicely packaged up where the different components wouldn't get scratched. And this is the canteen holder, which at first I didn't know what to think of. But the more I looked at it, it actually is pretty well designed. It's got a hole in the bottom where if it gets water in, it'll drain. That's very iconic from the Vietnam era war. It's got two little side pockets for maybe a compass or a fire starter. It will fit in here. And then it's got MRE straps, and it's got a strap that would attach to some sort of MRE gear. But what I like is the old Vietnam era canteen cover, which it fits perfectly. Now, one little trick here, if you wet this down as it evaporates, it will cool down the water. But what we have here, we have the canteen cover with an extended metal handle. I prefer those rather than the wire ones. And then one really great innovation they made on it is this is what they're talking about, the granulations. So it's marks 25 ounces, 20 ounces, 16 ounces, and it also has it in milliliters. So if you're a connoisseur of cooking and want to measure exactly your fluid, you can do that by the gauge inside. Extremely well made, very comparable to the canteen metal ones from the Vietnam era, World War II. Then it has the little cook stove. You would set this on a level surface, and when I use this traditionally, there's a fuel from the Vietnam era war, which I would think would be hard to get now, called peroxide, and you put one tablet there and light it with a match, and in the summertime it would heat up your water that was in the canteen, and in the wintertime you'd have to use 2 tablets. But a major enhancement they made is the ones from the Vietnam era period did not have a cover here. It was just the outer ring. So you kind of had to balance the cup on it. But this has the surface, so far better improvement. Now you could put this in a flame type campfire. I would never do that. I like to keep my cooking gear pristine. I have had where I didn't have the rocket fuel tabs to heat this, so I would get a bed of coal going and then set this on the bed of coal. And we're gonna not use that today because we have this stove here. And then the canteen is just fantastic. The metalwork is comparable to World War II. When you open it up, it's wide mouth. And it has the cap on it is extremely well made, very solid plastic. In the box, they say the advantage of having the wide opening is that you can quickly scoop up your water if you were getting it from a water source. But also, I found that it's actually quite convenient when you drink out of it. And then a third item is you could put some snow in here and put this close to the fire, and you would be able to melt that. Now, let's get our stove going. So you simply turn on the gas, and we got our flame. Now, we're going to take some water and fill the canteen up about halfway, and it will take no time at all for that to get warm. And then what I do is I take the food packet and you kind of fold it a little bit and just set it in there. Push it in. And as the water heats up, the food heats up. By the way, the steps I'm sitting on in this building behind me is a small outbuilding on my property. It's not where we live. So I can see that it's starting to the water to boil. So you want to be extremely careful about doing this. Somewhat closer to it than normal. I'd just normally be bent over, but because of the camera, I'm sitting next to it. But you hold it with one glove, flip it over, and make sure you get the other half warm. Okay, so I would wait a minute or two and let it boil and heat up the contents. And then take my gloves. Safety's everything. So you grab the handle, you turn off the flame, set that over aside, pull the packet out. And then you strip off the top. And I could use a little plastic spoon that came with it, but we're trying to demo the Hobo Knife, so we'll open that up. We have our spoon, and give it a taste. You know, actually it's quite good. So this is going to be my lunch. It's got beans and it's got corn in there, but plenty hot. Now, in the wintertime, I prefer it when it has hot chocolate, like cherry limeade powder in it. But if it was wintertime and I was on a hike, I would take this grape powder and pour it in here, stir it up, and drink it. Because if you're out hiking, and I've carried this water for miles and miles, I don't want it to go to waste. Now, if it was cherry limeade and hot chocolate and creamer, I'd put them all in there and stir it up. And it's what's called tanker pudding. And if you're a coffee drinker, you put your coffee in there too and stir it all up. And I understand that's just great. So, I've demoed a lot of equipment here. The key thing when you leave, let me get a drink of water, I'll demo that. Make sure you have all of your equipment packed up, the knife, the Hobo Knife put back together again. Have everything in your pack, have everything zipped up, and then review the space and make sure you haven't left anything. If you found these gear reviews helpful, please click like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it helps the community. Be prepared.